Hi, everyone. Welcome to Grant Writing and Funding. I'm Holly Rustick, the host of this show, and I'm super excited today. I have an awesome person on this podcast and on this video. I'm really excited. I actually ran into Dylan on the Facebook group. I'm one of the moderators on a Facebook group with Steve Vick and Alexander Black, and it's really fun. We do Fund My Nonprofit. And just ran into Dylan. We started to have conversations about some of the funding needs that he has for his organization. And we had a conversation. I was like, man, you need to come on the show because I think you are doing awesome things that can, one, inspire other nonprofits, and two, have some questions or have some funding strategies that might also, just benefit other nonprofits out there. So without further ado, my guest today is Dylan Mehri, and he is a part of a nonprofit in Colombia. Super cool. And they're also establishing U.S. 501c3 presence, which is super cool. And it is called Niñas Sin Miedo, which is translated into Fearless Girls. And I just love it. I work with a lot of nonprofits that have girls and girl power, and I love this. So I'm just going to go ahead and introduce Dylan, and then he can share about this nonprofit with us. All right, so Dylan Mehri graduated from Oberlin College in 2018 with a major in politics and Hispanic studies. At Oberlin, he focused his research on transitional justice in Colombia, private business and culture in Cuba, and electoral campaigns in the United States. Currently, he is the international fundraising coordinator for the Colombian nonprofit Niñas Sin Miedo, and that is Fearless Girls again. And Dylan and the Fearless Girls work to prevent gendered violence and break traditional gender norms through their unique combination of education and cycling programs. Super interesting. In his free time, Dylan enjoys creating Spotify playlists, which I'd love to have some of those, making abstract sculptures, and adventuring outdoors. So very, very honored to have you on the show, Dylan. Would you like just to kind of share a little bit about your nonprofit and what you're doing, your role?
Absolutely. Well, Holly, thank you so much for this beautiful introduction of both myself and about Niñas Sin Miedo. And I'm really excited to share with both you and your listeners about what we're doing in Colombia with the girls down there. So let me just get started about how I got involved with them, and then tell you a little bit more about the organization itself.
Great.
So like you were saying, I was been researching transitional justice in Colombia, and I did that my last 2 years at Oberlin College. And I really wanted to learn more about what's going on the ground with their peace process that's been struggling the past couple of years. And I got down, and I was graduating, and I wanted to go down to Colombia. I found this great organization online, Niñas Sin Miedo, and I contacted them, and they were super responsive and asked me if I wanted to go down there for an internship. So 2 weeks after graduating, hopped on a plane to Bogota and got there and was welcomed by an amazing group of staff and volunteers. And of course, the girls that we work with are incredible people. So essentially, Niñas Sin Miedo, Fearless Girls, is all about preventing gendered and sexual violence and preventing unplanned teen pregnancies, while also breaking traditional gender norms through our sports and education programs. And what we do is we have programs on an almost daily basis in the community of Soacha, Colombia, which is an area with a lot of displaced people because of the war that I mentioned, the conflict. And there's not a lot of government resources, mostly dirt roads, people living in places where things like electricity and running water came within the last 10 years. And this also creates problematic things for finding jobs and having good schools. So our director, Natalias, wonderful person, started the organization in 2016 just by herself. She had just quit her job at Habitat for Humanity because she wanted to work with the girls here. And she, by herself, got a few volunteers together, started collecting bikes because she really felt like cycling is a way for girls to get exercise and also feel secure on the streets of Colombia. And so that they could, build up self-autonomy, self-esteem. And she just started holding these workshops, training the girls how to ride bikes, how to maintain the bikes. And it kind of exploded from there. Even in the past month, things have taken off, even since I've left in September. and there's just um, about women's rights, human rights, and hold on one second.
Yeah.
Is your internet
It got a
connection
little
okay?
wonky for a second.
I'm sorry, we can edit this out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for a second, so I don't think it'll be too bad. Hopefully it'll be all right. I'm on
Okay.
my network, so.
Okay. Sorry if I'm rambling on a bit.
No, it's fine. No, I love what you're doing, and I think that's awesome. I mean, right out of school. So, I mean, just going back to you personally then, you know, that's really ambitious just to be like, I'm going to graduate and I'm going to go. So you obviously had a passion with some of that, you know, you wanted to travel and you just really wanted to see what you had been studying. You know, you've been studying in the transitional justice in Colombia, so you kind of wanted a hands-on approach.
Yeah, so I had studied and traveled a bunch in Latin America, but hadn't been to South America or to Colombia. And, you know, I'm driven by social justice and working with people. So I really wanted to, you know, do something hands-on and learn from the country, learn from the people about what's going on there and what are the real situations. And I loved Spanish music, loved Colombian culture from far away, and so I went down there just because I wanted to. I had no idea what I was actually going to be getting myself into, but I was just welcomed and have loved the people I've met there, and they have so much passion. The girls, we work with girls age 7 through 17, and probably the core group are 7 through 11-year-olds who are in the English classes that I was teaching. And they just love to learn. They just love to compete with each other, which is why introducing sports is really great because they, you know, they're cycling, they're racing, they're competing with each other. They actually competed in an international bike polo tournament as the first girls bike polo teams from Colombia 2 Saturdays ago. So they're just really doing amazing things, and they're going to become incredible leaders of their communities and of the country.
That's amazing. So if somebody like you who is interested in social justice, because a lot of people, you know, out there that are listening, they might be interested, they might be college students as well, or just, you know, even just people that are like, you know, there's more purpose in life and I really want to go and I want to serve somewhere. How did you find them? You know what I mean? Like, of all the nonprofits in the world that you could go and volunteer for, like, how did you find them and kind of narrow it down to that? Like, what, and how would you recommend somebody else do that to find some place to go or nonprofit to volunteer for?
Well, you really have to think about what exactly you want to do. And I have so many interests, so it's hard to narrow my focus. And I'm still trying to figure that out as well. But talk to people in the field. Talk to your friends, people your age or older that have worked in international projects, be it the UN, USAID, nonprofits. So I was doing all of that, doing a lot of networking, contacting people, friends of friends. And I had some leads, but nothing real concrete. But I went on idealist.org, which is a great website for nonprofits to find nonprofits and for nonprofits to find young people and people looking for jobs or internships or volunteering. So I actually found Niñas Sin Miedo, Fearless Girls, on idealist.org. Had a conversation, I think, the night that I contacted them. I was in the library kind of procrastinating from my homework, and I was like, this is exciting. Let me see if I could talk with them right now. And then we had a video chat, and things just took off from there.
That's great. Okay, so I'll definitely share that in the show notes, idealist.org, because that is a great resource.
It is. And I applied for a grant from Oberlin College and won a grant so that they financed me to go down to Colombia, which is incredible.
That's fantastic. How much was it for? Do you remember?
They gave me $5,000,
nice.
which is great, especially for going to a country where the US dollar just goes a long way.
Right.
And I still actually have a little bit of money left over from that.
Wow, that's great. How long did that last? Was that like 3 months or 6 months or?
Well, it was technically a summer internship grant, so it was supposed to last about 3 months.
Okay.
So a lot of people that were applying for different grants like this were still undergrad students.
Hmm.
So they were going to return back to Oberlin. But with this grant, they weren't specific about that, so I was able to get it even after I graduated.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and are you going back to the school and like giving a keynote speak about this, or a speech about it, or sharing information with the?
Yeah, so it wasn't required, but this past week I spent about 8 days in Oberlin, going into classrooms, going to the Bonner Center of Service Learning, and talking with students about not only my experiences and the organization, but also trying to give opportunities for students to do volunteering, to do internships, both remotely at Oberlin, be it fundraising, grant writing, or digital media. And then we're also going to be inviting students to come to Colombia this summer, and I'll help them with their grant applications. And because I also worked in the Oberlin's Career Center, so that gave me a little bit of insights in how to do those applications.
Nice. Okay, perfect. And were you able to recruit some people then? Did you get some people like signed up that are interested?
I have about 9 or 10 people that contacted me or came to. I actually had some drop-in hours at the end of the week, so people came to the office I used to work in, and they talked with me, and we were kind of brainstorming ideas about how they can get involved with Niña Sin Miedo, be it over the summer or right now. So we've got some great support, and I did a similar talk at my high school in DC a couple of weeks ago. So I have two groups of students, both in Oberlin and DC, that are getting ready to get started with me. So I'm really excited about that.
That's amazing. And just for you, your role. So you've been doing all this studying in transitional justice, like kind of more macro. It looks like more macro kind of things in your studies, your academic studies, private business, culture, electoral campaigns. But then your role is international fundraising coordinator. So obviously you said you kind of know how to, you've been through the grants, at least at your school, and you know how to, draft some things, and you have some good ideas there. But was that very different for you coming into this role, or, was that a natural kind of fit? Can you kind of touch on that? Because sometimes volunteers, you might say, I want to volunteer for you. And then they say, yeah, but this is what we need, this role. And you might, I don't really know that so well, but you can jump in with, your feet first, or you can just go ahead and say, let me stick to my skill level. So kind of, can you explain that? Because I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. So before actually getting to Colombia, I didn't know exactly what my role was going to be, but I knew that I had skills. Obviously I know English, so being able to teach English with the girls. I love sports, so I helped out with the bicycle school program, which is really fun. I think we have about 28 weekly volunteers that are helping with us in Colombia, both with the bicycle school program or education programs, English. So I was helping with all of those things, as well as logistics in terms of planning those activities and workshops. And once I got an understanding of the organization, then I was working directly with Natalia, the director, about what we can do to create outreach outside of Colombia and also do fundraising. And I hadn't really done a lot of fundraising. I'm an Eagle Scout, so I did fundraising events for like my Eagle Scout project and other events like that, but nothing for an organization such as Niña Sin Miedo. So I just kind of jumped in, and I hadn't done a GoFundMe campaign, but I decided, this is what we're going to do. And we set a goal. Originally it was $1,500. And then we decided, no, we can do 2,000.
Nice.
And then we started at 2,000, and then we realized, things are going quickly. So we jumped it up to 2,500. And then we broke that goal within a month.
Nice.
And we moved it up to 3,000. And now the goal is at 4,000.
Wow.
So we've gotten a lot of support. I think in the first month and a half, we had 63 people donate, and then between $500 and $500 to get us to over the 3,000 mark.
Oh, that's
and
great.
That was really, really exciting. I had never done anything like that before, but I realized, we have a really great story. We're working with girls in a country that really does not support them from a fundamental level. Colombia and other Latin American countries, women are not appreciated in the same way as other countries are. Appreciate women, and like our director says, a lot of women in these communities specifically have to ask their husbands for permission to do things. And being able to educate both women and their families, girls and their families, about the need to appreciate the girls and give them proper educational opportunities is a big part of our programming.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh, is there a lot of programs for boys then? There's a lot more out there that boys can kind of tap into?
Well, a lot of people ask me, you guys work with girls, but of course, everyone needs to be educated about preventing sexual violence, and
right.
100%. But we are focusing on girls because they really need spaces to grow and have their voices heard. And we are a small organization, and we want to, work with these girls first because they really need it and they want it. And we're one of 2 organizations in Colombia working specifically with girls on education.
Wow, that's interesting. And I love what you do. Like, I think when we were talking on the phone before and you were telling me that the founder had, the reason she started was she had been in a precarious situation, or if I remember this quite, accordingly. And then the bike had transformed her life. And I love it. It's so simple. It's not like, she had to spend $100,000 on some huge program to change her life. It was like a simple thing. Like, if I'm on a bike, a guy's not gonna be able to grab me as easily, right? I have a little bit more freedom. I can get around. I mean, just that simple like transition of transportation allows empowerment.
Exactly.
Yeah. So can you kind of talk about that a little bit? Because I think it's so interesting.
Yeah. So she has a pretty powerful story, Natalias. She, like I was saying, she had been working in international NGOs such as Habitat for Humanity. And she had been working in Argentina, where she experienced an attempted sexual assault, and she escaped, but she was not feeling safe and secure and happy on the streets, just walking around. And she left Argentina, went back to Colombia, and started working with Habitat for Humanity as their country communications director. And she was working directly in the communities of Soacha and others, and started building relationships with people. But she still wasn't feeling secure about her own situation and about the incident that occurred to her. So her boss suggested that she learn how to ride a bicycle. And so at the age of 27, she learned how to ride a bike. And like you said, it really just transformed her and her outlook on life. And she realized, I need to spread this to other girls so that they can have freedom too and feel secure. So she had already been working in Soacha, and she decided to quit her job and work with the girls there and get bikes donated for the girls. So that's how she started, and it's really been a beautiful movement since there. And like Steve Vick always says, organizations 2 years, 5 years, 10 years old are in their infancy, and we really feel that as well. But we've been able to work with so many girls and impact lives with so little resources. And we want to just keep growing, and we think the potential is just
it's amazing. I mean, even what you guys did, and just to kind of talk about the bike thing, and I think that's important, and even going back to what, you said, Steve says about the infancy, and some people think, okay, I'm going to open a nonprofit, and within the first year, I'm going to be able to quit my job, I'm going to get the same full-time salary that I was getting there with all the fringe benefits, and, and they just think immediate money, and even when it comes to grants or crowdfunding, a lot of time they think free money, and it's going to be easy, and it's like, no, there's a different system. But at the same time, if you can think of cost-effective ways too that can transform people's lives easier, because sometimes if you put huge programs into place, right, it's too far away from what's been happening for people that it's too far of a jump. And just another example is a program that I've heard works really well is for people with diabetes, right? And one of the things that they do is they have just a walking buddy program. And that's been able to help with diabetes type 2, just to have tremendously. And it's not like we have to put the state-of-the-art $500,000 system in place, or everyone has to eat vegan when they're not used to it, and it's too hard to wrap their heads around. It's just a walking buddy. Like, everybody knows how to walk. You know what I mean? Like, it's a simple thing. So I love that with a bike, because a bike is affordable. Everybody can learn how to ride a bike. You know what I mean? You can have training wheels if you need to, but it's a simple thing. And I love the approach, and I love how it's spread. You were just telling me about a bike tour. Can you talk about the bike tour?
So this year we hosted our second bike tour in Bogota. Our first one last year, we had about 50 kids, both from Soacha, our community, and from Bogota itself. And this year we had about 120 people, both girls and their families from Soacha, other girls from Bogota, and a lot of other people joined in as well. And we created our event, I think, our event page on Facebook 2-3 months ago. And we spread it around so much that the French embassy in Colombia actually reached out to us a month before the event, asking to sponsor the event and be a partner, which is really great because it provides more visibility. And they were impressed with the event and want to be a partner with us going forward, which is really, really amazing opportunity for us. But these sorts of events are also really important, not only for visibility of the organization, but for the girls that we work with, because they get opportunities to see outside of their limited bubble in a lot of ways, to interact with girls and people from Bogota, the capital of Colombia, and just getting a beautiful event, being outside. We had a picnic at the end where everyone just spent time together and celebrated. It was for the International Day of the Girl also, so it was a great time to just celebrate girls.
That's
and
great.
That's just one of our big events in October. And we have a second one coming up this weekend on the 20th, where we have our second big event called our second Girl Empowerment Convention, which is really cool. Our first one we hosted in July, so I was there and was helping out, and it was just a really great event for female professionals who we invited to hold workshops and talk with the girls about life trajectory, about their goals, about breaking gender norms and stereotypes about them. We had a woman who became really deaf at a young age, but then her mom worked with her to be able to learn 7 languages, which is really cool. She knows how to read lips and to make and to speak in 7 languages, which is really awesome.
That's amazing.
So it's really great for the girls to see how they too can overcome great adversity. And we have our second one this Sunday, I believe. And we're inviting women that are just doing awesome things in Colombia, female rappers, singers, and anthropologists. We have Colombia's first woman to climb Mount Everest. Just really cool people. And I wish I could be there, but I'm going to hear great stories and see the photos and videos. So I'm really excited about that.
Are they coming for free? Are they doing this pro bono?
Yeah, they are. They are doing it pro bono. We've been able to get some great sponsors that are just working with us. DirecTV is a sponsor on the event.
Oh, nice.
Last event we had Dove from Unilever. They came, and these companies that are coming to sponsor are sending people who are talking with the families during the event. So while the girls are in different areas doing activities, the families get together and they get a chance to learn from us and from our sponsors about women's rights and that form part of human rights, and really get a chance to bring together the family for that affair as well. Which is really important for us because we really want the girls to have healthy and safe homes, which not all of them do, which is another reason we partner with one of Colombia's governmental departments, which is called Bienestar Familiar, which translates to family well-being, which is kind of like our social services, where they, if we see an inappropriate situation in the home, we can get this organization to intervene and work with the family so it gets better. And, that's not perfect, but it's another way where we're able to be there for the girls in all facets of their lives.
Right. No, I love that you guys are getting local support and, just people. And I think that's so important because, as you said, the country itself, it doesn't have a lot of funds within its infrastructure necessarily, right? But it can support with different people, and even like or other organizations like the French Embassy. Like, that's so cool. But I also know that you and I love how you had kind of positioned where you guys said, you know what, we need to bring in other fundings from outside of the country, because we know people are passionate and they want to assist, but we need that legal documentation, if you will. So can you kind of talk about how you went about getting a U.S. entity formed?
So when I got to Miedo in Bogota, they'd already built some partnerships with people outside Colombia, be it Colombian expats living in Australia, Germany, US, and had some monthly donors outside the country, but it wasn't really a substantial organized part of our fundraising. And towards the end of my time there this summer, Natalias asked me to go to the US and establish the organization's presence and get nonprofit status. And I was really excited when she asked me to do this, because I know that it was just a great next step for the organization and also for me. I had never done anything like this. And I'd already learned so much in the 2 or 3 months that I was there, but I was really excited for this next step. So I started trying to educate myself on what does it mean to create a nonprofit. Now, I actually started out with the Nonprofit Ally.
Nice.
Because someone had recommended that to me. And so I started listening to Steve's podcast, which was really great. Has so many insights, and his guests are awesome.
Yeah.
And started writing my articles of incorporation, started drafting bylaws, trying to get educated on what are the steps legally to get status. And when I got back to the US, I started talking with people that I thought would be great board members. And I had got some support, but it was a little bit not as strong as I would have liked, especially. And I think that was because I'm so young and the organization is not super well known outside of Colombia. So people were not, really ready to get on board with me on this project. They wanted to support, here's $100, but I can't really dedicate my time as a board member. And I understood that, but it was frustrating. But then I talked with the pastor of my church. She's got a great nonprofit, and her husband also does a lot of nonprofit work. And so I sat down with them, and her husband told me, my friend has this new tech company that has a platform for nonprofits. You should talk to him. So I talked with the CEO of this company called Giving, GVNG, and they have a platform where they provide umbrella 501c3 status. They do all the legal back work, the finances, all of that. And me being by myself, I had raised some money, but I didn't have a team around me. It seemed like this was the best option. So I jumped on with that, and now we have nonprofit status, which is it came almost immediately. They do a background check on you, but you can start fundraising pretty much right away.
And you're operating under their 501c3, is that correct?
Right. So we don't have our own board. We have their board. We have 501c3 status through them. And we're, working out the kinks. We're their first international NGO. They had done, they had worked with an emergency relief nonprofit that was sending money to Guatemala. But we are their first kind of, longstanding organization outside of the US that they're working with. So it's not been the easiest transition, but I think it's working really well for me being by myself right now on this team.
And I think it's a good solution, because you can fall underneath another umbrella. And there are a lot of nonprofit umbrellas out there that's how they operate. Yeah. And oftentimes they'll do your financial reporting, which is good. They can be your bookkeeper, which is amazing. And they can write grants for you sometimes to do grant training. So a lot of times that's kind of what they do to support. I'm not sure about Giving, but I believe you said they are helping with your bookkeeping and that sort of thing. They handle that end. Is that correct? Or
they do all of that. That's great.
Yeah.
They do all of the bookkeeping,
and
which is really great for me because I'm doing fundraising, but I don't have this
think I lost you for a second. Ah.
Can you hear me
So
fine?
there you are. Okay. There you are now.
Awesome.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so giving fee, you create the account for free, which is great. So you get to see, what it's all about. And then once you start fundraising, they take 5%. And then there's also a credit card fee, 2.2%, but the donor can choose to pay for that part, which is nice.
Okay, cool.
So there's a checkbox for that, which is helpful. And then once you want to start, doing the premium features, which is actually the important stuff about paying people, paying vendors, hosting events, getting volunteers through the website. You have to pay for the premium package, which ranges from $50 to $100. And
per month or per year?
Per month. Sorry, okay. Per month. And because we're doing sending money internationally, they told me that with that extra legal work, I have to do the highest package, which is $100 a month, which seems expensive, but I don't have to pay for any of board members' insurance. I don't have to pay for incorporating. So it's really a great, easy step for me initially. And if I want to break off and create our own nonprofit, we technically are our own nonprofit, but if we wanted to create more autonomy, we can at a later point, which is great.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's fabulous because that's a great transition because it does, the paperwork takes time. Sometimes your 501c3, it can take, for your federal one, it can take quite a bit of time and it's expensive. It's about $800 at this time, I believe. So right there, you're just saying, okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to have, and the other thing too, is this organization, they have history, right, of different things. So they probably have more credibility than you would have right out of the gate. So to be able to start securing some grants through them, that would be helpful. And they have a CPA, they have all that stuff on board, you know what I mean, within the organization. It will help you be more credible to get funding. And then later on, like you said, once you've built up your reputation a little bit more within the states and getting federal grants and foundation grants, then you can really launch off if that's where you're looking at going. So I think that's a great solution. And I love that you guys are talking about that because I actually have a lot of international nonprofits that come to me and they're overwhelmed with the paperwork and the process of getting the 501c3, the US, right? So it is like a huge step and it's almost like forget it then for some people. So I like that there's a solution and that you guys are like, at the stepping stone. And like you said, it was pretty much immediate. So you guys could be applying for federal grants today and get those, right?
Yeah, so we're still working out all the details. So I'll get back to you at another point in terms of, how smoothly was it to actually send the money? Because right now we have an agreement where, let's say we raise $5,000 for a specific thing. So one of our big fundraising goals right now is to get a space, our own community space. We're renting right now, but we have our own to create sustainability, autonomy. And that's going to cost about $6,000. So let's say I raise $6,000 in this next month and I want to send it down there. I have to fill out some forms and then once the money is sent, I have to send Giving a video and a story about what the money was used for. And that's pretty simple and straightforward, at least on paper. But we haven't done that yet, so I'll have to get back to you about how easy that is. One thing that I don't necessarily like about the platform is that they give us a website too, which is really cool. Nice. Don't have to pay for a platform.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of design or, you can't, there's not a lot of options if you look like customization. Yeah. You put your video and your story and things like that, but there's not a lot of customization beyond that. And for the fundraising, the crowdfunding campaign, they say that they don't show the goal to the donors, which I think is not so great. I remember listening to and watching your podcast with Steve, and it's great to show the donors what is our goal, and then to have that ticker, get past that 30% point, so to really get moving. Yeah. So that shows momentum for our donors, and it doesn't show that, which I think is a mistake. And I think I should probably talk to Now I've been talking with the CEO, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe I can talk with him and see if he can make those changes, because I think that would be
Yeah.
huge.
I mean, you could even look at, some of the other nonprofit crowdfunding sites and just show him that
That's
this
true.
is what is happening, kind of as like, this is what everyone's doing. So obviously there's some, backing to it. They're showing these
Yeah.
tickets and the other thing is you do want to get some people kind of at a soft launch to show, you know what I mean, to kind of up the ante a little bit so it doesn't start from zero.
Yeah.
But you already started on that. Like you said, you're up to what, 3K now? Or you're
3,700, 3,800,
okay.
which is great. But we're going to be transitioning away from the GoFundMe to the giving page, which is NSM USA, because when donors contribute on our website now, on this US website, they get an immediate email with their tax deduction information, their tax receipt.
Oh, that's nice.
Which might be the case for other nonprofit-based or centered crowdfunding pages.
Yeah.
But GoFundMe, I don't think does that.
Yeah, I know there's like IndieGoGo Generosity is for nonprofits, and I believe they waive all transaction fees, which is nice for nonprofits.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, even 2.2% is not bad, I don't think. I think GoFundMe's more than that. I'm not sure.
I think GoFundMe has different rates for different organizations, the way it does. I think our rate was about 2.2%, but strangely, because we weren't technically a U.S. nonprofit when we were doing the GoFundMe, I think for nonprofits it was actually higher. They raised it up to like 5-7%, which is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, even like Eventbrite, right? I mean, I sometimes like cringe like you're trying to sell tickets or whatever on that for fundraisers, and it's like, we need to find better platforms. So
and we can sell tickets on our platform as well, which is cool.
Great. Yeah, because that's good. Cool. Okay, so I want to talk about, you said you had a goal of a community space, and I kind of want to look at your goals now. And I know you guys have 3 main funding goals, I believe, right now. So can you kind of talk about those funding goals?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I was saying, our first big goal is to purchase a lot in our community, which is going to create a space for girls to be able to access every day. And those are places where we're going to be talking about education. We're going to be teaching English, sex ed, making sure the girls know what their rights are, which is really huge, because if they don't know what they are, they really don't know how to exercise those rights.
Right.
Which is huge. I know we all in the US, sex ed classes is normal. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's boring, but I think most of these girls don't have access to that in their schools.
Right.
So it's really hard for them to know how to build healthy relationships.
Right.
How to know what signs to look out for to get out of precarious situations.
Or even just knowing that they can say no, those kind of things.
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of people, even in the US, don't know that until high school or college.
Right.
So being able to have people where they're working with the girls in groups and one-on-one is huge. And that brings me to our next goal, which is, so that first goal is $6,000 for the community center. And now that is to buy land, and we have an organization lined up who is willing to help us construct the property, construct the building once we get the lot. So it's really, we've got people helping us, but we need to get to this lot in Soacha. Our second goal is to hire 3 part-time psychologists to work with the girls one-on-one and in small groups. And that will really help us create a well-rounded center for the girls to go to when they're struggling, and when there's issues at home or in school with their friends. And to do that for one year, 3 psychologists, $5,500 US.
Wow.
Which seems like nothing.
That's amazing.
So we really feel like this is another achievable goal for us by the end of the year. And our third goal is to strengthen our programming. So to strengthen our staff and hire another program coordinator who would be able to help us with administrative work and also just organizing, increase our impact and capacity building. And that would cost about $5,000 a year. So we're looking at really an achievable goal of around $17,000, which we feel like we can achieve, especially once we've created this impact in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what my goal is. And I'm putting together a team here, like I said, of Oberlin students, of high school students. So we're going to do at least 2 big fundraisers by the end of the year, which I'm really excited about.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, 17,000 I mean, that's employing 4 people and it's purchasing land. Like that's crazy cheap. You know what I mean? It's just,
yeah.
And it's like you said, there's a conversion rate. So it really does, I mean, the impact of that. So if anyone's interested in giving, like their impact, you know, the $1,000 or $100, it's reaching
Huge.
Many girls. So, and you serve, did you say about 50 to 100 girls per year or every day?
Yeah. So the girls that are specifically in our programs, 50 girls in 2018. But that it goes beyond just those girls, because some of their brothers come and they hang out. You know, they're not directly involved in our programs, but they're learning indirectly. And also our programs where we're doing the bike tour and doing the empowerment conference in Bogota. We're inviting families and girls from Soacha and Bogota. So we're impacting more than just the 50 core girls. But being able to have our own property will allow us to expand our space, and having another program coordinator will allow us to work with more girls, because with just one coordinator, it's kind of difficult to manage all of that, you know?
That's a lot. That's a lot of girls. Yeah, that's a lot of people to manage. You know, it's a lot of projects and activities going on. So, I mean, this is amazing. So I love this. And the main way that you're kind of getting funding for these different tasks or these different objectives is through your crowdfunding page. Is that correct right now?
Yes. So over the summer I did the GoFundMe, but now we're on our own website in the US where donors will get a tax deduction right away, which is great. And I'll give you that link so you can put it in your show notes.
Perfect. So the URL, we can share it on the show notes with you guys. And like Dylan was saying, that goes directly through this organization that's assisting them, you know, with their 501 or with their U.S. presence. So that's pretty cool. Right. I love that. I love that there's so much impact that could happen. And is your goal by the end of the year then to raise this 17?
It is. It is. We want to get to the 17,000 so we can start 2019 strong and have great programs for the girls and a great space for them to learn and grow and be able to share their voices, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing. So, so tell me, what are you going to do then? What other fundraisers or what people might be able to watch out for that you guys are doing to raise this money, and how can they get involved?
Yeah. So I've been learning a little bit about Givingtuesday, which sounds like a great movement. Started in the US, but is a global movement now, which is November 27th this year. And we're looking to launch a Givingtuesday for Niñas Sin Miedo on October 27th. I've been posting a little bit on social media this week about us having 501c3 status, but we're really going to launch stuff coming up in the next week or so to share about what our goals are for fundraising and what each contribution how you can make an impact with a small contribution or a large one if you're willing to toss us some bucks. But really every little bit helps, because we can do so much with so little.
And I love this. I mean, it's just people can give, and you know, even if that's your Christmas present, right? Like that would be a great Christmas present to give people, because a lot of times nowadays it's like I don't even know what to get people anymore, because you know, everyone's so affluent, you know what I mean, in the States, right? So you see a lot of different friends and people, and you're like, well, they pretty much, you know, they have the things that they need, and, you know, you want to get them maybe luxury items like a massage or something, but that lasts an hour, you know what I mean? So this could be something where I said, I'm going to instead give my friend or my aunt or my mom, you know, $100 contribution where she can put it in her name and, you know, reach so many people. And how cool would that be, you know? So I think
it's creating sustainability too. You know, instead of buying, you know, $100 shirt where it's made by essentially slave labor somewhere across the world, you know, spend that $100 on education and on girls' rights. So
and then if you spend a certain amount, you get the T-shirt you're wearing. Can you hold it up a little bit?
Yeah. So we made these T-shirts.
It's gorgeous.
Best friend of Natalia, the director, is a clothing designer in Colombia. So she made the shirts for us. On the back, you'll see it says DC for NSM, DC for Niña Sin Miedo. And that's because, you know, I'm from DC. I love the city, and this is where I really want to grow the roots for the organization in the US. If you donate $35 or more, I will ship it to your house in the continental US. Sorry, Guam.
I know. It's like, what about Guam?
We've also got these great buffs that we're selling for $12. These are great for biking, covers your neck and your face. Great for winter time when it's cold outside. You want to breathe. It's like a nice little mask that you can move up and down. And if you buy any of that, I'll give you some free stickers.
Oh, nice. I love that you got all the swag. That's so cool.
Yeah. Speaking about that, you know, one of my big questions for you is about incentivizing donors. You know, it obviously feels good to contribute to an organization that you feel is doing great things. But how do you incentivize people to keep donating and maybe become a recurring donor, kind of making an investment with us? How do you convey that as an investment?
Well, I mean, I like what you guys are doing. It's short term, right? You have a goal, and that works really well for crowdfunding. And, you know, Steve always talks about that too, where he, you know, it's a certain limited amount of time and you need to reach certain goals. But then what happens after, like you're saying, what about the long-term sustainability with your donors?
Right.
You know, how do you have them become annual donors? And a part of that too could be, let's reach out to our highest giving donors, you know, throughout this crowdfunding platform, and then create relationships. So that could be, hey guys, you know, follow up with them and say, this is how many girls that your money, you know, impacted. $100 equaled helping 10 youth, you know what I mean? And these are the projects, or, you know, whatnot. You can translate that and say, we would like you to continue being a partner with us. And, you know, and that way you can also put together solicitation letters. And a lot of them I'm doing nowadays, honestly, with the nonprofits I work with, instead of just specific events, like you know, we're doing this gala, say, so we need $5,000 or whatever. Instead of doing that, say, what are all the different events you're going to be doing for 2019, right? You might have another bike tour in Colombia, and one in DC, and you know what I mean? There's some other things that you're going to be doing, and say, you know, for an annual donation of, say, $1,000 or whatnot, whatever tier levels that you have, you can be this type of donor. You know, you can be a Fearless Girl donor, and you can get your logo on all the things that we do. Companies love that, especially or if it's an individual name, maybe if they want their name on that, or if they want to come up, you know, even with their kid's name, they want to name their donation after their kid or something, you know, maybe they have a daughter, like my daughter is Bella, maybe I want to have, and she's 7, right? So let's sponsor a Bella project, right? So, and that helps other girls her age. I think that would be fun. But just to tell them that these are all the different things that are going on. You can name something after this, or if you have a logo, we can put that on all of our advertising, our marketing materials, our outreach materials. And you can give, even like, it's important too to give some kind of appreciation, right? So and it's hard maybe because, like, if you're in Colombia and a lot of these donors, say, are coming from the States, like, you may not have anything physical, but maybe that's where you could think out of the box and say, let's have an annual online appreciation day or something. And you're just going to, you know, I don't know, you could do something live where you're talking about them and really link, or you could take videos of the girls saying thank you to so-and-so and waving, you know what I mean? And riding their bike or something that shows. I think that would help form relationships with people when they are constantly on an ongoing basis, maybe once a quarter, getting a video, getting a wave, getting something where they can see their impact, and that'll keep them hooked in, or maybe even wanting to give more because they're directly involved with this, you know?
Yeah, no, that's great. And we've done a little bit of those video thank yous, but I think that we can do more and really show our individual donors that, you know, these girls are constantly benefiting from the gifts that they are contributing.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, they're annual, you really want to pull them in, like, you know, we want $1,000 a year, but throughout that time, it's not just okay, thank you, that one time, you know, it's about how do we develop a relationship, or just almost think of them like they're advisory board members and they want knowledge about what's going on. So once a quarter, what are we going to share with our donors? How are we going to keep them involved? are we going to invite them down here? You know what I mean? Like, hey guys, if you want to come down, like meet the girls, come, see what we're doing. Even in the States, you can do stuff. So if you see a lot of your donors are coming from DC, maybe you could do something up there as well. And I think you said, are you actually already doing the bike tours in DC as well?
We have not.
Okay.
I was thinking about doing one this year, but the weather's getting pretty cold.
Yeah.
So probably the best time, we're probably going to do one in the spring would be the best time for one in DC.
That would be. What about like even some gyms? Could you do a spin class dedicated?
Like a spinning?
Yeah. Like,
that's a good idea.
Thanks. That might
bike.
be fun. Yeah, and especially like a gym that's kind of socially conscious, or you could coordinate with the whole franchise. So at the same time, like at noon, spinning classes across DC, we're gonna donate this class to the Fearless Girls, and everyone chips in a donation. That would be really fun. Yeah, just in really whatever you can think out of the box, because like you said, it's cold, but go inside, do it there. I don't know. So that might be a fun thing.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I can go to the different gyms and just talk to them. And maybe 1 out of 5 says yes, but that's one big class of 30 people donating $10, $50.
Yeah, and
so
then maybe they
huge.
keep it as a monthly thing or something, and it's good PR for them, right? So
it is.
Yeah, so it would help. I think it would benefit a gym, to do something like that, because it puts them on the map. And the other thing I want to relate it back to is your social media. So your social media, you guys have a good following. So you leverage that, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to share we can Facebook Live one of the spinning classes onto our Facebook,
right?
And you're going to get a lot of views. We can share it in different groups. We can definitely promote you as a socially conscious gym that's doing something different. That might be a good way to get them to be like, yeah, I want to do that.
No, you're right.
For them. But yeah, can you talk about your social a little bit? Because I love that you have that. Yeah. You did say that's a place where people can go to check you out. So where can people find you?
Yeah. So people can find us, first of all, by Googling Niña Sin Miedo, with the N on the second N. But on Instagram, it's Nina Sin Miedo. Facebook, it's Niña Sin Miedo. Twitter, it's Niña Sin Miedo as well. But if you just Google us, you'll find it right away, which is great. Yeah, so we have a lot of posts in Spanish right now, and I've done some in English for us. But part of my recruitment here in the U.S. is finding people that can manage our pages and make content in English, which is really huge for constantly updating our followers and our donors to share with them what we're doing. And October has been a crazy month for us. We've done so much, and a lot of my friends are reaching out to me being like, wow, Dylan, you're saving the world. And while I don't feel like I'm saving the world, I feel like I'm doing my part, I'm doing one small step where I can make an impact.
Yeah.
And people see that and they love that. People love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's inspiring. Like, even when we were talking, I was like, this is great. Like, he's right out of college, and it's not like, where's my job? What's my career going to be? I've got to go. I don't know.
There are people pestering me about that, but no, I really feel that I'm doing amazing work, and I'm gaining a lot, both personally, but also professionally, building up my experiences, building up my knowledge of how to do all these logistics and fundraising and relationship building in the organization. So I think I'm gaining a lot, and I'm doing other small things like tutoring Spanish, and taking Farsi lessons soon, like I mentioned to you earlier. So this is just a great time of my life where I get to experiment with great opportunities, and I've just been really blessed to be part of this great team. And I love calling our director and calling the other staff members and volunteers and just learning, okay, what did you guys do today? Tell me what you did. And they've just surprised me all the time, especially this month, about what they've been doing. A couple of weeks ago, they surprised me and said that they met some of the girls spoke in front of Bogota City Council, which is crazy. I've never been to a city council before, but girls from 9 years old, 13 years old were speaking in front of city council members, talking about girls' rights. And that is just so exciting. Great opportunity for them. and for the visibility of girls in the country to say, you know, people really care about us, and that's what the girls really want. And then this past week, the girls were invited to meet Marta Lucia Ramirez, which is Colombia's first and only female vice president of Colombia. So the girls met with her, had breakfast, and we're talking with her about what they believe are the important issues for Colombia and for Colombians and for girls living there.
Oh my gosh, I just got goosebumps. Like, that's amazing. I mean, I think what I would love, I would love to see is, you know, in 5 years and 10 years, like where these girls are then, because it just seems like they're all going to be, you know, major leaders or influencers, you know, of some sort of positive, just amazingness, you know, in the world. Exactly. So, I mean, you're creating legacies, really, you know.
Yeah, and the vice president asked these girls, what do you want, where are you going to be when you grow up? And a lot of them said, you know, doctors, lawyers, you know, senators. But Mariana, who's 13 years old, she gave a great answer. And we believe that she's going to be one of the best leaders of the organization and maybe even Colombia. And everyone she spoke in front of Bogota City Council. And after she spoke, people were chanting Mariana for president, Mariana for president. So everyone was expecting her to tell the vice president, I'm going to be president one day. But she said, you know, I don't want to be tied down by anyone or anything. I just want my freedom. Aww. And it was just a beautiful thing for her to say, where she feels like she's a free spirit. She's an amazing leader. She's really smart, passionate. But she's not going to be tied down by anyone's standards or expectations for her. So that was really cool to hear about.
That's amazing. Yeah, man, we could talk for hours about everything that is happening in Colombia. I feel like that is just so cool that you, especially, you know, you came and you're studying this and you're looking at transitional justice, and then you actually applied it and you went. And I think that's really inspirational. And I hope the listeners out there that might be considering what they should do or being a little fearful of taking the next step, just, you know, really step out into their freedom and into that zone to be able to make an impact. And I also hope any, you know, funders that are listening to this consider funding not only your organization, but also other dreams of people that, you know, they have to help out in the world and to actually be a part of that social change, because that's what's really important. You know, money is a mechanism, absolutely, but all the wealth in the world can't bring about social justice unless you have a heart for it. So I just commend you for that heart in, you know, doing it. So yeah, it's amazing. So before we close up, I know we want to talk about this, and I just said, you know, if you have any questions at the end for me, you know, because with my grant background, go for it, ask me, and hopefully that would help any other organizations that are out there. Yeah, well, you've already been really helpful so far in talking about incentivizing donors and working with international nonprofits, the logistics of how that works. But, you know, as I'm trying to organize certain events, how do you stay focused and motivated as an individual trying to organize all these events and people when you don't have a lot of time, you don't have a lot of resources? What would you recommend to someone like me who's trying to get their start, trying to learn and also teach and organize? Right. Okay. That's a great question. Yeah. And it's one I kind of hear often. And part of that too is, you know, we need the money to make the things happen, but we don't have the time or we don't have the money necessarily to spend on grant writing services, right? Because they can be rather expensive, right? They can for certain, you know, it depends on, right? If you're looking at $17,000, right? You don't want to spend $2,000 or whatnot. But the other thing is time. And I love that you mentioned time, because that's something that's really can be difficult, but I think you're in the right direction. Like, absolutely. You already have about 9 people you said on the that are kind of like, hey, we want to help, like volunteers, right? Yep. And I think that's really important to have them and to say, okay, guys, this is what we need to do. And then it's really about delegating. And then you can even say for each person, like, even if you yourself don't know, like, I don't know how to connect. I don't know, this certain grant, it's a federal grant. I haven't written it before. I want you to learn how to do it. You know what I mean? So how do you do that?
Yeah.
Well, there's books out there, there's courses, there's different things that are very affordable that they could then take to do that, right? So then you're not taking your time, even if you knew how to do it, you're not taking your time and resources to train somebody else how to do it. You're leveraging other sources. Right. So that can really help mitigate some of those costs and some of your time, especially. The other thing is that you would more focused kind of recruit people and volunteers. You can make a job description for a grant writer, for a crowdfunding organizer, for a donor development person, right? And actually say, this is a job description. These are all the things that I want you to accomplish. So in a way, you could maybe yourself I love mind mapping, where you just throw everything out on the wall, right? You write it all down. And you could do something like that. Like, what are all the different roles that I feel like need to be done, right, for this job? So all of a sudden you're like a grant writer, and then you're listing all the different things they need to do. Crowdfunder, all the things they need. Donor development, marketing, and you just list it all out. And then you say, okay, there's no way I can do all of this, but it all needs to get done. So now I'm going to create operation manual. I'm going to create job descriptions for each role. I might have to assign myself to those roles for a while, but it's there, right? And then as soon as somebody comes on, so you can either, when that person comes on, you say, okay, you need to learn how to do this role, and here's your job description. So for them too, it's clear. It's not like, what do I need to do? And and then you're like, oh my gosh, now I have to work extra hard because I have to organize them, because that's a lot of work and it's a lot of time. But you already have something developed. This is what you need to do. This is what I'm expecting from you, and this is what you're going to get in value in return. So you can have those things listed as well. And that's really important to say, what is their value? Even if it's just, they're learning things, and they're also getting, things back, they're feeling like they contribute. So that's good for them. The other thing is, you can also, sorry, it was getting a little bit, but you can also then advertise those job descriptions for people that actually have the skills. So you already have the job descriptions written out, and you can attract people. And yeah, sure, it might be an unpaid position, but they're getting, once again, the values back. They're getting maybe, extra work, whatever, that, they can actually learn how to do more things in a better way, or get experience, put it on the resume, all those sort of things. So, or they might just not need the money. They might be highly skilled with those, and they just don't need the money, but they're able to actually contribute that skill to your organization, which is awesome. And there are people out there like that, right? So definitely you can go either one of those ways. It'll help you mitigate your time loss, and it'll, just get those people on board, and it'll help you also know what to delegate. So that could be something that really keeps you more focused. And it's just every week, what is the goal? Here's our goal at the end of the year, 17K. Work backwards. What do we need to do to get there? Well, by the beginning of November, we need to have 13,000. But you know what I mean? So you work backward, and what are the events that are going to happen? And then you go forward. Okay, then this week, this is the task that we need to do. Second week, this is the task. Are we on board? What do we need to change as you go through? But just to have the strategy all lined out. And that can take a little bit of time, but honestly, you're going to save so much time when you plan it out like that.
Yeah, it's so worth it, I bet.
Yeah. One day of just doing all that and then say, go. You know what I mean? So yeah, that would be something. I've done that for myself as well, and it's been so helpful. So that's something I could recommend. But yeah, I'm sure there's other options. So you guys that are listening out there, if you have any solutions or suggestions too, go ahead and, send over to Dylan, or you can always email me at hollywego@gmail.com, and I will definitely get it over to Dylan. Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. So any more questions? Are you good?
No, you've told me a lot, and I have a lot to think about, and definitely need to get writing a plan and making sure I have my tasks delegated. And that's something that I haven't been fully clear with yet, but I'm going to get on it, and hopefully it's going to be really helpful for the organization.
Yeah, and I'd love to see, like, go ahead and, you know, if you guys aren't in the Facebook yet, the Facebook group Fund My Nonprofit, definitely get on board, and you can follow Dylan there too. Dylan's active over there. And yeah, please share there what you guys have been doing as well to kind of connect people and just to keep us updated, because I think, yeah, it's awesome what you're doing. I'm definitely going to follow you guys on social and see how I can contribute as well. Like I said, I would love to name something after my daughter and give you that. So, you know, that would be really cool. You know, so I think that's amazing that what you guys are doing. And I just want to commend you again for being an individual who's just volunteering. I mean, you know, you had a stipend, you had a grant, but really 5,000, that's not a lot. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, as a graduate and going back in the States, like, I really, you know, I think that you're very just humble, and it's inspiring to talk to you. So I just want to thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Holly, for talking with me and giving us a little bit more visibility. And I look forward to continuing talking with you about each of our projects going through the next months.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys. So once again, you can find Dylan where? Let's tell them again where you can find you, or where they can find
you. nsmusa.gvng.org. That's smUSA.gvng.org. And you can contact us there and donate or volunteer. We'd love to have your support. So thank you, guys.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Dylan.
Bye, Holly.
All right. Bye-bye.